Hi guys, how you guys doing? How you guys doing? I'm live. I just want to do some bed rant here. I want to talk about the God thing again a little bit. Sometimes I pick up a tract from Christians at the mall or something, and I just look at it, and I honestly, I usually shred them. I don't like the energy. I read it just to see what they're saying, and then I shred it. I don't like the energy of it being around. And one of them in particular, I want to talk about. It was trying to justify what God supposedly does with the heaven and hell thing. And the first step is God must be just. He must punish sin, or else he's guilty too. And he's just, and he's holy, so he has to punish sin. Okay. First of all, okay, let's go with that for a second. But God gets to define sin. So if God can define sin, how can he be accountable for whether he punishes it or not? He could just define something as not sin and not punish that. Or he could define something else as sin and punish that. It's arbitrary. But it's not really arbitrary, because people design this to make you be afraid of things that they want you to be afraid of. But that's another point at the moment. And then, so the point being that we all must be punished for this by committing such so-called sin, and that makes everything God does just. And however, another point is, first of all, like I just said, God gets to define that anyway. So it's all arbitrary on what this God supposedly defines as sin. He can't be responsible for punishing something that he also gets to define what he's punishing. God could say nothing is sin, and he would be okay because he gets to define that. He would not be guilty for punishing nothing. On the other hand, God could say that we're not allowed to breathe, and he'd still be righteous, because we would not be allowed to breathe, because God said breathing is a sin. Why not? Having sex can be sometimes a sin. Why can't breathing be a sin? If he gives us body functions and defines them as sin, he could say eating and pooping and peeing is sin. But he doesn't happen to do that because society happens to accept those things, and so society doesn't. Their God that doesn't make up such a God that would punish that, because society decides that eating and pooping and peeing is okay, and breathing is okay, I guess, but having sex, that's not okay. So we must punish that, have God define that as sin, and then call God unrighteous if he does not punish that sin. Sounds like a crock to me. And then I caught Joe Holden, pastor of Temecula, whatever it's called, Calvary Chapel Temecula, caught him in a coup, because he said something that he probably wants to take back, but has no comment, had no comment, had no expression, just blank stare when I confronted him with it. He said, and I've never heard a pastor say this, but I did hear him say this. He said, infinite sin requires infinite punishment. He was trying to pull it off that we all deserve infinite punishment, which is what hell supposedly is. It's his suffering forever, which is infinite punishment. But I confronted him afterward, right on the spot. After, I didn't raise my hand in the middle of the sermon, but I waited till afterward and confronted him and said, but how can a finite being such as a finite human commit infinite sin? What infinite sin did I commit? How, if I'm finite, had a beginning, and everything about me is finite, how can only my sin be infinite and therefore demand or make just infinite punishment? He didn't even answer. He didn't apologize for saying it, nor did he deny saying it. He just looked at me with a blank stare. Oops, sorry, I guess I shouldn't have said that. Not only that, the punishment he ascribes to sin is hell, which the Bible admits it was made for the devil and his demons, devil and his angels, whatever. But that means that we don't even deserve that, because that was made for creatures that are more evil than us. So we don't deserve it because it's not made for us. It's made for more evil people than us. So but God decides, well, that's all right. We'll send humans there too anyway. It's all right. They can handle the demons' punishment. They're just as bad. Oh, and they get infinite punishment because they committed infinite sin. Ha ha ha. And I got to define sin, so I get to say whatever I want. Ha ha, right, good. So I get to define sin how I want. Decide that finite breaking of that or finite commission of such sin is worth infinite punishment. And then I get to say that infinite punishment is going to be at a place that I made for people or entities that are way worse than people, but I'm just going to let that slide because after all, I don't really like people anyway. They're all garbage. Fuck you, God. First of all, I personally don't mind it because I'm going to enjoy hell. So bring it on, God. Let me have my hell forever. I'm okay, but a lot of people wouldn't be. A lot of people are caught in mind traps and crap like that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm so scared. Well, you know what? That's what somebody nefarious, someone's nefarious set this whole thing up. I haven't got all the information on it because I'm not a total expert, but I know enough to know that I believe I'm right about this. There's been councils in the Bible, councils of Nicaea, AD 325, where they decided what was going to be in the Bible and what wasn't, and they basically gave us nothing. They gave us fluff, while they kept the precious good stuff to themselves, or buried it, or burned it, or burned it, but then said it mouth to mouth so they can still retain it without having a copy. So in case we find it, we can know it too. They don't want that, so they make it all mouth to mouth. Oral traditions, or they do keep a copy just for themselves, but they bury it and accidentally gets found, like in Nag Hammadi in 1945. They found some buried, lost so-called texts in of the Bible that were exactly excluded because they were more. They would have given us more freedom than the people that rule the world want us to have. They don't want us free. They want us slaves. Hi, slave. Oh, how you doing, slave? Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you? Yeah. Too bad I don't know I'm a slave. LOL. The worst slavery is when you don't even know you're a slave. At least the slaves physically know they're slaves and they know what the enemy is. It's the slave holder. But people that are religious slaves don't even know they're slaves. It's really weird and really frightening. Not to me personally, but it's frightening and weird and awkward for me to walk around all these people that are, spiritually brainwashed and don't even know it. That's what's weird. I can't even say that they are because they'll just fight me back or deny it or what, get all mad and I can't do anything. I can't do anything about it, even though I know I'm right. Of course, everybody thinks they're right, but I have a view that these people are just walking zombies and don't even know it, and I've got to walk around, But hey, nothing's perfect. No one is perfect, And I think people try the best they can. It's just that the system doesn't want the system does not want individuals to succeed. They want you to end up brainwashed. So often it works, and people become brainwashed. Okay, I'm as much sorry for them as I am mad at them, because it's really tragic when people buy this. I see it in my own adoptive family, and they're not my blood family, so that's better than if they were, LOL. But they're just locked into these certain ways of thinking. They can't even talk about certain subjects. They're like, we can't talk about that. That's a bad subject. What are you hiding? And what's bad? What makes it bad? And what's bad about it? And who says we can't talk about bad things? It's like they're defending themselves. They got their arms crossed about every single little topic that you're not allowed to talk about or whatever. Okay, lots going on there. I just can't talk about it. It's a taboo or whatever, but doesn't mean it does not exist. LOL. And I try not to do that at all in my life. But when I'm around these people, I have to kind of go along with that because they say they don't want to talk about it. So I can't make people talk about or think things that they don't want to talk about or think. I can only try and do my best. And at the end of the day, I'm just out for good. I'm out for the people. I'm out for the individual, not to be brainwashed by by a machine or an entity that is evil, or a ruling power of hybrid aliens or whatever they are, Illuminati, Committee 300, call it what you want, archons, whatever paradigm you use, it's the bad people making the good people suffer and be slaves and be not even know it, which irks me. Anyway, love you guys, peace, love, and rock and roll.